Okay, hear me out. Are we in a simulation? And are we the processors of that simulation? Let me explain. For starters, just like humans made a computer processor, what if we are processors made by something higher than us? Something beyond human. Something more light, just like we are lighter than machines. Just like if a computer processor, sorry, I glitched. Just like if a computer processor made a machine or a child, it would probably be more even like a machine. You feel me? We on the same train here? So, basically picture kind of like the 5D, the singularity within a black hole, and projected from this black hole onto this beautiful field, this beautiful holographic plasmatic field where our 3D reality is. We are the processors that move through it, or it moves through us, or both. I'm not sure about that. I don't know everything here. We're on this journey together to come to our own realizations, just like life. And better yet, have we forgotten we're in this simulation, just like when you go to play VR, or sometimes when you're playing The Sims or a game, you forget sometimes what reality you're in. I've heard it from people that literally put on a VR headset and they think they're in that world for a second, like they forgot. What if we forgot? Okay, so I'm gonna show you what I think, how it works, and then what the correlations are to a CPU and humans, which is insane. First, I'm actually gonna take you through a really easy way to understand computers. This is all a simplification of what is in a computer processing unit. I'm sorry, a central processing unit, which is what I'm saying humans are. In a spiritual way, don't be upset, I'm not saying we're machines. Okay, ready? So this is reality. This is the future, this is the past, but obviously time doesn't really exist. But in this model, in 3D world, it does. We are almost like the window or the human or the processor that it is flowing through. We might also be flowing through it. I do not know that. We are the CPU, the processing filter for everything. For consciousness, or we use our consciousness to process it. We process our senses and also use our senses to process it. What we're processing is the field, the outer world, the screen. This is the little singularity we come from, projected as 3D humans, as from 5D or whatever the heck this is. I just say 5D. The mainframe is what we see, the screen. Think of our little processing unit with inputs. We input the experience of the world. We experience it. We use our consciousness to reflect on that experience. And then I just realized you could see my whole life, just ignore those. And then when we output that experience, we evolve. And then the process happens over and over again. While we're having this experience, it is feedbacking to our 5D brothers and sisters with the RAM, which I'll tell you about. Okay, the RAM, the random access memory. The CPU never directly talks to this. It is just like how we don't directly talk to our higher self. There are usually filters or caches. I don't know how to say it, sorry. Just like even if you were to channel anything, you have to understand you're going through your own filters of perception. We're not Buddha here. That's why you need to kind of question everything, even yourself sometimes. But also learn how to trust things. It's a whole thing. It's a paradox. What we do have direct access to is the cache. The cache could be thought as not short-term memory perhaps, but it's kind of like where your ego lies, where your survival mode is, where you store everything you need. And then the RAM would be thought of more as total intelligence, the Akashic realm connection, body intelligence, your higher self connection, the connection of 5D. The RAM computer's function is to store programs and data for use for the CPU when it's ready to use it. And when it needs them, it comes down to here. Basically, I think we have caches or caches so we don't get overwhelmed with this the whole time. Because then we would just be in the 5D realm. We're not light beings, we're human beings with light in us. And sometimes I think mental illness can occur when some of these caches are missing or broken, causing our filter, our perception to get out of whack with the RAM, which can be the cause of schizophrenia and so on and so forth. Just like computers, it's a good thing. You see when they say clean your cache where your computer's going slow, clean your limiting beliefs. Do work on mental health and trauma. That will clear the connection to the higher self. Also, funny enough, RAM not only means supreme or a power and virility. We all know the word backward in ancient times meant the similar things that had to do with the word. It also meant Lord. It also means exalted and witness. So basically your RAM, or your connection to your higher self, the RAM is witnessing. It is exalted. It is above. Even in this photo, it's above. So then there's the ALU, or arithmetic and logic unit. Think of this as basically your logic, your ego logic. It's like your ego perception of the sensorial world around you, of the field that is moving through you, and maybe you're moving through it. It's what you're... ALU. I'm sure you guys are going to come up with a lot more connections than I have too. We then have the instruction, pointer, and register. Think of this as your conscious choice and will. These specify the location in memory that contains the next step, the next instruction to be executed by the CPU. So it might be a mix of like thoughts and will. I just want to point out really quick, there's a system clock and a CPU clock. The system clock is the speed of the whole system, and the CPU clock is the speed of its own system. I would kind of view this as like the motherboard time, so it's kind of like the time in the field, and this is like our inner time. Basically, like time flies when you're having fun. Sometimes time stretches. If you're bored, it can stretch, or it can shorten when you're having fun. Or sometimes it even stretches when you're in a flow, when you're writing, and you have like, you wrote so much in 2 hours. Like, that's real shit. That's real shit. But what's interesting to me is it kind of says like time is more fluid. Like the outside field has something to do with like the connection with the higher self. That's just interesting to ponder on. Whereas we have our own internal time. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Like maybe as above, so below does not apply to our internal time versus the outer time. Okay? Okay, what does this all mean? Number one, I like to ponder on, does this field move through us, or are we moving through this field as a processor filter? What's the difference, and what would that mean? Questions to ponder. Are we kind of like a tree that is rooted and it comes through us? Like the wind. Is that why there's all those tree of life symbols? Is that a thing? And then I started thinking, like, are we viruses? Like, there's a lot with, like, virology and the ways viruses mutate and evolve, and kind of, like, what I'm getting at with the whole, like, experiencing and evolving thing. And then also, did the people that made these computers know, like, how the world works in this way, and they're all part of some, like, society where they all just know this stuff? And, like, once you know it, though, what does it mean? For me, I think it just helps me like make more light of life, even though there's depth, like also to just have fun with it and just know that like we're each important in our own way. And yes, life is a game, but there also is importance to it. So we can be very passionate about it, but we also don't have to take it so seriously. Life, yet again, is a paradox. But knowing that we are serving some greater good for humanity and for whatever's out there makes me love life. Like knowing our whole point is to experience all we can with our senses, and that will help evolve us as a collective, is really cool to me. It makes me want to do more of my own individual things. It makes me realize my perception matters. What you have to say matters. Uniquely you specifically are growing all of this and changing the field. And even more cool, I believe it's called emergence. Basically, complexity can appear and emerge out of nowhere in a complex system. We are in a complex system, so that means something completely new can not only emerge from one of us, but that idea could lead to the whole evolution and raising of consciousness of humanity. And let me tell you how one person can change the world. I believe it's called self-organization, where some form of overall order arises from local interactions between parts of an initially disordered system. One human evolving could tip all of humanity over the edge into like a new evolution. Like it would rise all tides up to their level. I'm out of time.